Yeah. Chad, wrong one.
What's wrong?
Okay, do you not hear the Z-Cars song playing?
Welcome in to Follow Everton. Chris, are we good?
Okay, so those are the ones you can start and end with, but there's a different one further down. If you keep scrolling, where you'll see a bunch of song options.
Okay, but we're on. We're currently broadcasting, right?
We are?
Okay.
Well, no, it says scheduled, not live. You'll see it on the top right if we're live.
It says live
red,
on my.
not gray.
It says that we're live on my screen, but we're a minute 37 in.
Okay, well, this is going to be interesting. Please.
No, we're on. Chloe. No, I think we're on. Hey, anybody in the comments you want to drop us? Yeah, thanks. I think it looks like we're on. Hey,
to be honest, this is great entertainment for them, but we are having
we
ridiculous technical difficulties for those that are watching live.
That's right. So hold on. So welcome in to Follow Everton. I am Chad from the States, joined by Aussie Chris. Thank you for tuning in to us. This is the Midnight Blues coming to you in nearly the middle of the night there in the UK. Please remember to like and subscribe if you enjoy our content, or even name your firstborn Ryan if you really love our content. We are having some technical difficulties. Chris usually runs the show here and presses all the buttons. He was having some issues where he is with some weather knocking out his power. So I am leading the charge, and you are getting a mistake-riddled beginning of Midnight Blues on Follow Everton. Aussie Chris, welcome.
Welcome. So as we're going along, Chad, it'll be on the right-hand side. You can scroll up and down, and one of them is going to have the Z-Cars option as a song, and then you click in the middle of it, and it'll stop it.
Chris hates it when the show doesn't go exactly as planned.
Well,
it's fine.
As Becky says, I'm not type A, but I'm a subject of type A. We're like, I want it to go well, but you got volume. Oh, a fade out. There we go, Chad. We have technical support from India. Oh no.
I don't know what you're even talking about. Did Ryan jump on and make a comment or something? Well, Chris, we have lots to discuss. First, shout out to Jan and Mabsy. They had a great show just hours ago before Spain and France kicked off in their semifinal Euro match. Tomorrow we get England, hopefully taking on Spain in the final. Chris, did you watch Spain and France?
Yeah. So that goal was excellent. I forgot it was a play on the right wing that tucked in, and then had that left-footed strike that hit the bar. That was amazing. Oh, sorry, not hit the bar, off the post and in. That was amazing. That was right after the French striker had been kind of knocked on the head and did a then scored to kind of show them up, going up 1-0, and then it was 2-1, and Spain held on, huh?
Yeah, it's that 16-year-old. Yes, I'm not going to remember his name. No, but quite a talent, and what an embarrassment of riches in Spain. They have so much incredible talent and young talent, and oh man, they are fun to watch. So we have lots of Everton news to discuss. We have an entire rundown. As I mentioned, Jan and Mabsy were on before us. They hit several of these points. I think we can weigh in on a few of them. I don't want to close the book on them just yet. So we have Dominic Calvert-Lewin is in the news. He's potentially looking for an exit to the club. We have, of course, the never-ending saga of Jared Branthwaite and the pursuit of Manchester United. And of course, Philogene. Should I do some Michael Jackson, Chris? Philogene is not my right wing. Oh, he's just a player that says Ipswich is the one. Oh yeah, that's my Michael Jackson.
Ipswich is not my club.
Yes. Oh man, I really wanted that kid, but we'll get to that. We're gonna get to Philogene. We got Ashley Young, aged more. earlier today in the UK.
Happy birthday, Ashley Young.
Happy birthday. 39 years young, Ashley Young. And then we have lots of other things to discuss. The players are back in camp. We're getting pictures, we're getting videos from the club's social team. So it feels like the start of the season. How are you feeling, Chris? Are you feeling optimistic as we kind of ramp up?
Well, I'm feeling like, especially Dele Alli, what we realize is he's actually in a better state than the Follow Everton technical situation, which is fantastic for Dele Alli, isn't it? We actually have him in training, running around, scoring a goal on the little miniature net off the video. So we're seeing some real positive signs that he's doing better. But the reality is we're paying for him to feel better, mental health and all, with no contract. So I have no idea if he's coming back. I imagine he's not, but it's a really weird purgatory for him and 3 other players. We've got Neil Mopai, who I find him really funny and cheeky, but I don't want him at Everton. He doesn't want to be here. Mason Holgate looking miserable, worrying if he's going to get in trouble taking a, let's say, is his BMI too high and he has these guilty looking photos. And then there's one other player that we have right on the fringes as well of looking to leave. So we've got these kind of question marks, but generally speaking, we are buying players early. They're in the squad early, and there's some really interesting cultural videos. Did you get to watch those little short reels where they had who did you miss most when you were away?
Yeah.
They had Patterson was a popular character.
Yeah, I did. You know what? I did watch that one today, and I thought it was really funny. Really good insight into the team. I think Patterson is everyone's annoying little brother, and he's incredibly obnoxious when you're around him, but you're away from him for a little bit, and you start to miss him a little bit. That gave you a little insight into his personality, and then also why Sean Dyche might have smacked him in the head, just a few months ago at that team dinner.
Yeah, it's like, all right. You're in Portugal. You're telling this the cheeky bugger to rail it in, and he whacked him in the face by accident as part of a humorous joke.
Yeah, but regardless, I am getting to be very optimistic about the team. I'm very hopeful, but hope springs eternal. I think this is kind of the normal feeling. When the players start to report back and get into training, everyone thinks that this could potentially be a good year. I feel really good about the club. Peter Duggan, I see you in the comments. I'm not gonna let you rain on my parade. They will be. I think this side will be prepared and they will be ready to play Sean Dyche 1-0 ball as soon as we start our preseason. All right, so Chris, what do you want to jump into first? Where should we go? You want to do DCL?
Yeah, let's talk DCL, but I think Manchester United more broadly on it. Now, we'll talk DCL because we know that he has not signed an extension. It sounds like through word of mouth without an official source, he's not coming back. He just, in terms of extending his time at Everton, so his time is done. We knew that he wanted to go to Newcastle, but they weren't willing to pay him the wages they wanted. So is that swap deal happening? No, it fell through. So Yakuba Mente didn't come along. And now, right after we've dealt with all these challenges with Jared Branthwaite and Man United are starting to throw money around. Oh, there he is.
Yay.
Adam. Welcome to the setup of a century there, bud.
How you going, mate?
I hit a thunderstorm, so I've lost all power. So my laptop is plugged into my phone, jacked up on books, with my yellow wallpaper through natural light. So I'm ready.
Hey, that's the one.
Adam, you haven't missed much. Welcome in. Becky in the comments was begging for you to be joining us, so perfect timing that you jumped in. We have a list. We have a list of things we're going to talk about. We're going to start with DCL and Branthwaite, and there's obviously a Manchester United connection between those two players. So where do you stand right now with DCL? Are you sad to hear that it looks like he wants to move on from the club, or do you think it's about time?
I think it's one of those, like, if he's not signing a contract, and that contract has been on the table for quite some time now, so it's a bit strange that he's not signing it, and you wonder why he's not signing it. So if he's not signing it, maybe it's something that he wants Everton to come out and offer something else and change some of the terms in his contract. And then he's basically saying, like, look, I'm here. Like, I've seen the videos. He's still in preseason. He's gone to the the weigh-ins and all the medicals and stuff for the preseason training and stuff. So he's there. He's actually at the club presently. So it's just strange that he's not he's not signed the deal, and you wonder why that is. But he's obviously couldn't agree to his personal terms with Newcastle, so that's a bit of a strange one there too. But the fact that Manchester United are after him, they've got quite a few players in Hoyland, and I think Martial's still around there as well, and they've invested quite a bit into some of their strikers. So the fact that they want another striker, and if he goes to Man U, he's probably just going to be their number 2, and he won't get too much game time. Whereas if he's at Everton, he's going to get game time, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think he's our starting number 9 if he stays at Everton. Yeah. But you mentioned the wages, and it is curious. He had an opportunity to go to Newcastle, sign a new contract. It didn't seem like he was going to get what he wanted from a wage perspective there either. What do you think? What is DCL worth from a wage perspective? Where is he at?
It's hard to gauge because over the last couple of years, he's not really, he's been injured. So, it's pretty hard to gauge at that. You look at someone like Beto. We signed him for like 30 mil, and he's not even really proven himself. And we're asking 35 for Calvert-Lewin. He has proven himself when he was under Ancelotti, but then he was injured for a couple of years. So it's a bit of a hard one there.
Mm-hmm.
But I also just thought of the strikers that we currently have at the club now. Like, we've got Chimiti, Beto, Calvert-Lewin, and Mope's back in pre-season as well. Like, hasn't been really too many rumors on him going or any links to potential clubs, but there's quite a few players there, that we've got in the striking division, and then you add in Iliman Ndidi into that too. So there's quite a few striking options, and we don't really know which ones are starting. And then if Calvert-Lewin's still not signing a contract, he's possibly trying to force Everton to renegotiate terms with him at the club. Maybe it's one of those.
It could be, but how much was he actually being offered on a weekly wage? We'll never know this stuff because that's held confidential. But if he's truly claiming to be worth well over 100K a week, he's right at that precipice of he's going downhill in value real quick here. I know that's unfair to the average person in this world, but in a football term where you're running, you're exercising, you're getting knocks, 28 is right at the peak before you start getting more injured. He is injury prone. He didn't have an excellent season, but he proved he could at least be on the pitch a bit more.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I think he's definitely proved himself. He can score goals. He scored a few goals towards the end of the season of last season. He's sort of I think he owes Everton a little bit because they've really got him into full fitness again. There's not really, Sean Dyche has helped him out massively in his career.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I completely agree. I think I don't think there's been any bigger. We lost Chris. I don't think there's been any bigger advocate than Sean Dyche in Dominic Calvert-Lewin's career. Really, he's given him the bandwidth to get healthy, given him the platform to produce. And any time that he hasn't produced, that's been on Dominic Calvert-Lewin. He missed a handful of chances this year, and granted, he doesn't always get great service, and we were not often in possession. But Dominic Calvert-Lewin should have had more goals than he did this season. Is it a fair valuation of DCL to say he's worth 30 to 35? I don't know. I could see Everton taking as little as 15 for him. I can't imagine they would get anywhere close to 30 or 35 million dollars for Dominic Calvert-Lewin when he hasn't really proven he can stay healthy for the long term. Chris, you going to be able to join us again? Oh, I have to add him. No. Sorry about that.
I'm back.
Yeah,
Adam, you're going to say something?
Yeah, Charles Stevenson said in the comments, DCL scored 14 goals in 3 years and he wants a salary increase. That's, Yeah, that's a tough one. But the thing is, he's been at the club like our number 9 striker for some time now, and he's I think he's at that point in his career where he does need to make a drastic change to if he wants to improve and step forward. That's
and the challenge with DCL too, like, and I think you've mentioned this in previous calls, Adam, that DCL under Ancelotti in particular was getting excellent delivery from wide players. Now,
that's the crucial part.
Left footer that goes through waves.
Yeah.
So do they get the delivery he needs?
Yeah, it's the way we're playing. It's the way we're playing, and it's not complementing Calvert-Lewin's game.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you look at Mope, like he couldn't really, wasn't really, couldn't really get much out of him, get a tune out of him at with us. But then he went to Brentford, and he looks a completely different player. Now, why is that? Brentford play a different style of play than what we do. We just bomb it long, and he's a hold up play. He's got good touch, and he's a quick passer of the ball, and that's what he needs. He needs that support around him when he gets the deliveries and gets the balls. He needs more players around him. Calvert-Lewin can sort of hold it up, do it himself, and then feeds it off. But yeah, Mope is a different style, and then when he was at Brentford, he looked a completely different player. All the Everton fans are going, "Oh, well, why is he? How come he's scoring goals now?"
You know why, Adam? He had a target man in Ivan Toney, and they had a partnership that allowed him to, in the Australian terms, pick up the crumbs from a ruckman type of deal. So you have someone a little bit smaller picking up the loose ball, but not the target man. So the only way I could see him playing for Everton is if he's the number 10, but he's playing more advanced rather than the third midfielder that Decore often does, and he plays high.
Mm-hmm. So as Paul threw out in the chat, who's available if we were to move on from Dominic Calvert-Lewin, if we're able to even get a number that we're comfortable with, you almost have to ask yourself the question, how much is it worth then to have, your number 9 with you for this year, even if he leaves without a contract next year? If they move on from him, so the options we know internally, Beto, Trimiti, Mope, as we discussed, is it even worth going out and looking outside the market, or would you take any of that incoming money if you were to sell DCL and look to invest somewhere else?
I think there was a couple of options that Everton we've been linked with previously, and that's Armando Broja from Chelsea. You've got Adebayo from Luton, which I'll definitely take. I think he's quality. He can hold the ball up. He's very strong, very powerful, very finishing. He could probably do a lot of it himself. You saw it when he scored against us. And then who else we've got? Probably going to be linked a fair bit with Tammy Abraham from Roma as well because of the Freedkin Group. So that I think that's a high possibility there. But yeah, your players like your fringe players like Mope, like Holgate, Keane, they're still back at preseason now. So what's going on there? Like there's probably going to be a bit of a cash sale coming up soon, and then we can start looking at some options like that.
So you think there's actually a chance that we would find a taker for Mason Holgate or Neil Mope? Who are you envisioning for a cash sale?
No, I'm not sure about that one. I'll probably organise the taxis.
I'll go with Norwich as the 5th defender, and we pay 90% of the wages.
I haven't actually heard of too many links for Holgate, Keane, and Mope. I haven't seen any, which is a bit concerning, really, because those are sort of the ones that we want to try and release to get a little bit of cash in. So to get the players that we do want in, like a decent striker.
I can't imagine Holgate has any value. He had a disastrous loan last year.
When he first started, he was Man City were after him. That's when he went into his hype when he first started, and we all thought he was the next John Stones. And then I think that went for about 2 seasons, and then kind of fell off a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Adam, you have to remember, number 5, wasn't 5 Julian Lescott as well? So number 5 is the Man City player that moves on. Whoever's number 5, they're destined. So we should make Branthwaite number 5 and get Michael Keane out of that number.
So Adam, I love the names that you mentioned, especially Adebayo from Luton. He seems...
Oh, he's quality, yeah. He's really good.
Yeah, he seems like a total handful.
Yeah, he's dangerous. He's very big. I think the height, he's 6'4" plus. I think maybe 6'5", something like that.
One name you didn't mention, which I know is a fan favorite, Lukaku. Lukaku was previously on loan at Roma last year, believe still under contract at Chelsea. Do we think there's any chance that Chelsea would loan him to Everton?
What are the wages he'd be on? Because that's the problem. He has every right, and you hear the story.
He'll take a pay cut to come to Everton. He loves us.
He needs to have a lot of money to come in, or Chelsea have to eat a lot of it.
Yeah, I can see that though. I don't think he fits into this Chelsea side, especially in a side that played much better and later in the second half. So that's a name that if we were to move on from DCL, that's certainly a name that I hope we start seeing mentioned again. I know. I think, what show was I listening to? It might have been one of another podcast, but they had mentioned potentially Richarlison coming back. I can't see that. I know he's potentially available with Tottenham, but I cannot see Richarlison coming back for sure.
Oh, it'd be phenomenal if we got Richarlison back. He's I think he's put on Twitter or on one of his social media accounts that he's loves Goodison Park. I love this place, sort of deal. And yeah, he still loves us for sure.
Would you have him lead the line then?
Richarlison?
Yeah. You put him at your center forward? Okay.
I'd stick him on the left, to be honest.
With Beto next to Beto, and then play Ndidi. What do you think? What's your formation?
I think Ndidi probably needs to be. He's more of a false 9/10, and then you can play him on the right a little bit as well. But I think he needs that other forward present up there with him. So yeah, someone like Calvert-Lewin or a big strong Beto could potentially do some damage with him in partnership.
Yeah, I love a 3-4-2-1. So the idea of Beto, being that center forward flanked by Richarlison and Ndidi, that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Sean Dyche would never play that way.
We saw a lot of promise in Chimiti at the end of the season as well too. If you remember, he showed a lot of promising good signs, and looks very, very dangerous.
Yeah, he gets yellow carded every 5 minutes when he's on the pitch to make an impact. So it is energetic, but making sure over a 90, can he handle it? Because I know we watched him play. Did he start against Sheffield? Was it? I know he led the line once near the end of the season, and he did fine, but he wasn't pulling up any trees, as you'd say.
Jeez, could you? Becky Hillary said it. Richarlison, Lukaku. Could you imagine that in Ndidi?
Yeah, that's scary. All right, well, let's move on then from DCL and the striker conversation. So Manchester United, reportedly offered Everton a new bid in the £50 million range, still short of Everton's supposed valuation of £70 million for Jared Branthwaite. There were thoughts that they might come back with a third offer, maybe in the $60 million range. Do we think that this deal gets over the line? Is Jared Branthwaite still an Everton player?
I think he stays. I think he'll stay, and Everton will hold their asking price, in my opinion.
Chris?
Yeah, I'd second that because I think I mentioned to you guys on a little group text just before. I forget his first name, but I think it's Lenny Yoro from Lille. The second Everton said, no, we're not accepting this lowball bid on the second attempt, they actually put offer up, and Lille accepted for a player that has done well in the French league. He's only 19, who wants to play for Real Madrid, but the club Lille have accepted. Now it's up to personal terms for this guy to come to Man United. So if that's truly the case, Man United are willing to pull the plug and at least play this kind of this game of we've got other options here. If that's the case, then Man United bail out. Because I haven't seen much rumor, and maybe you guys have something different. Have we heard anything else other than Man United are lowballing us? We have ownership from United claiming that the Big Six rule the world and that they should get what they want and drop the prices. I haven't heard anything else about Branthwaite other than United's bids. Have you?
No, that's curious because as I recall, when last season, towards the back half of the season, all we heard about was maybe offers from Germany, or maybe I think was it Real Madrid? Maybe even were rumored, potentially Manchester City. So there were really big clubs that were mentioned in the same breath as Jared Branthwaite, and it looks like Manchester United has been the only one that's come to the forefront and actually put an offer on the table for Everton. It looks like we lost Chris again. Let's bring him back. It's been a bit surprising, but maybe there is another club lurking out there in the shadows somewhere, waiting to swoop in if Everton were to lower their asking price.
Yeah, and we know Crystal Palace in particular have been kind of this weird dark horse influencing our deals too, because they've been interested in the whole player, that winger that we've been discussing throughout the day, and then all of a sudden you have the left winger. Oh no, sorry, left footer playing right winger Michael Elise going to Bayern, leaving a gaping hole in Crystal Palace's setup. So they're desperately looking to pull players as well. So there's a really interesting merry-go-round going on with a few clubs, because Bayern's also been interested in Onana.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've heard that. You often wonder, and we'll get to this when we talk about Philogene, is how much of the rumor mill is it agent driven? Is it club driven? Is it real? Is it not? It certainly seems in the case of Philogene that an awful lot of it is agent driven. Do we think that isn't Onana's agent his sister or something like that?
It is, yeah. His sister's his agent, yeah.
Yeah, so it's often curious when his name is brought about a lot. So you kind of get the sense that his sister has been throwing his name out there, just hoping to stir up interest in him. And I know Arsenal has liked him for a while. I think, didn't you mentioned, who did you just mention, Chris? I'm sorry, Bayern?
Yeah, Bayern Munich were really interested in Onana in particular.
Yeah, I think we were hoping that he would look really good in the Euros, and maybe speed up that market. He had flashes. He played like Onana always plays, right? Like he had great flashes, but then kind of left you wanting.
His stats in the Euros though were surprisingly like one of the better stats. I think he got in one of the Euro teams of the competition as well. Like his stats were phenomenal, but I don't think he's ever going to look like a player that just grabs the game and runs with it. He's just going to he's going to put in those tackles. He's not going to look fantastic. He tries to play the beautiful golden pass, but he's never really going to be, I think, one of those eye-catching players. He's just going to do a lot of hard work and lots of challenges and lots of tackles. And
what's your valuation of him then? How much? So we know.
Chris, what's your valuation?
Are you talking about Onana? Sorry,
Onana, yeah.
Audio cut out. I think he's worth similar to what we're currently evaluating Branthwaite at, and Branthwaite is worth more than his merit gives him. I think he's probably in the 60 million range. All we know is he is Premier League proven. He can score a goal occasionally, and the setup isn't working for him at Everton. But other setups prove he can do differently. Can he score other than using his head? No, not really. So what do you do with? Can someone else take him? I think a lot of teams could use him better than we do.
Yeah, it'll be very curious to see if an offer actually comes in and Everton do bite on it. Like I was trying to say that there is a sell on, I believe. So it's going to take something in the range of 45 to 50 million, I would think at least. All right, Philogene. I don't even know. I can't even remember Jaden or Philogene.
I think it's Jaden Philogene.
Jaden Philogene. So
Philogene
we thought
is not a winner.
Adam, you missed our singing earlier.
Oh yeah. Maybe it's a good thing I did miss it.
So we thought we had our man earlier today. We had a nice back and forth between David Ornstein and the Bobble. Alan Myers weighing in. We had a lot of different reports. I'm sure different reporters were hearing different things. At one point, it looked like Everton had a deal in place at 16 million for Philogene. He wanted Everton was his preferred destination, and then we've heard that no, it's now 18 back to Ipswich, and that he was scheduled for a medical tomorrow. And I think we're all just hanging out here waiting. So, Chris, do you hope this Philogene thing gets resolved tomorrow and he ends up wearing an Everton shirt?
Yeah, I would love to have someone like him come join the team. And granted, yes, he dominated the championship last season. He had some excellent highlight reel goals, but even just the way he's a right footer that felt comfortable making a move, tucking, like there's a move where you kind of flick the ball behind your leg and confuse the defender, and there's some really cool highlights of it. So he's able to hold the ball, slow it down, put a defender off at a position, and occasionally slow it down and score some excellent goals. That's awesome. Now, the problem is at what cost? I don't think 2 million is going to make or break Everton, but I also know 2 million, the quicker it becomes Ipswich somehow have opinions of grandeur and just keep throwing money at it. When do you pull the plug? But I would be happy to have him on the team.
Adam, have you seen him much?
I've only seen highlight reels. I haven't watched full games or anything, but Philogene looks a hell of a player. He looks like he's got a heap of pace, can beat a man, got a lot of tricks, and that's something that we're severely lacking in the winging department in general. So we haven't had that really since Richarlison left.
Yeah, here you see the comment from Ryan. Problem is we wouldn't have, with a wing cutting inside like that, we don't have anyone overlapping. It's something to address. There has been a name in the news. Let's move on from Philogene and talk about, Chris, you can help me with this name, the Chua, what was it? The right back.
The Malayan right fullback.
That's
Let's
right.
Go with that. Let's go with that. A bit like Tim, not Arag Budinam, but like Tim. Let's go with Malayan right fullback.
The Malayan right fullback, Chris Beasley in the Echo wrote about him today. Everton are interested in him. I believe he's a 22-year-old right back. So, Ryan's comment cuts right to the point, is that we have lacked having that dangerous element flanked outside. Vitaly Mykolenko is not an offensive-minded player. We'd hoped Pato was going to be that player. We don't know if he's quite Premier League ready or quality. Do we need to address the right back before the season begins? Adam,
well, that's why I think we were looking at Kabore. He's one of those players that will give you the overlap.
Yeah, but is he too much like Patterson, Adam? That's the problem I'm going to have with it. Not that I don't think he's good, but Dyche wouldn't want to. If he doesn't like Patterson, why would he like Kabore?
Well, then he'll have to change his back formation up and go with the 3 and have wing backs.
Yeah,
but then you've got the problem with Mykolenko.
He wasn't willing to risk it most of the season. He wanted for his 4-4-2 or 4-4-1-1 in possession. So do we expect Dyche to adapt his formation to allow a wing back? Because I agree, Kabore is interesting, but if we're not going to allow him, forcing a wing back to play fullback, I don't think he gets a game.
Mm-hmm. It's certainly an area that needs to be addressed. We all love Seamus. I can't imagine we're going to go in expecting Seamus to contribute much. If we get 10 games out of Seamus, I think I'll be thrilled. But that's to say that
his left hamstring on the pitch this year.
I know. God, but love him. I would love to see him have one more healthy season, especially in Goodison's final year. But Godfrey's now gone, so Godfrey is not an option at that position. So we're looking at Ashley Young, we're looking at Pato, we're looking at Seamus.
Has anyone seen the link for the Leon defender Jacob Ryan in replacement of Godfrey?
No. I have heard about O'Brien a little bit, but Adam, elaborate more, because it seems that the entire Lille, is it Olympic Lyon?
Yeah, Olympic Lyon, yeah.
Okay,
yep.
So not Lille, but Olympic Lyon. Yeah, so continue on Jake O'Brien?
Jake O'Brien, yeah. Yeah, Toffees are apparently reporting on a bid worth of 21 mil, which is quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because
But I haven't looked into too much of his stats. I haven't looked into too much of his stats and his style of play and whatnot, like I have with Jacob Greaves. But I think he was a huge miss. Now that Govry's gone, I think we've really got Taki, Branthwaite, and then we've got Michael Keane.
Yeah, you can't rely on Holgate. Keane you can rely on, but expect an error from time to time. But he's really good.
We're gonna need some more stability at the back there if that's the case.
Yeah, we do.
I know.
Well,
yeah.
the whole we're dangerously thin everywhere. I mean,
left back's a huge problem as well. Like, you know, if Mikolenko goes out, we're screwed.
Yeah, we have 2 wings in the whole club right now. We're the one area of the pitch that we're not thin at is the striker position. Everywhere else, we're looking a little bit better in midfield right now. But yeah, I mean, all of our wide positions are really scary right now. And if we sustain any amount of injuries, I'm kind of be fearful of where Sean Dyche turns to. Although Sean Dyche has proven to get a little bit creative. He'll move James Garner around. He'll move Jack Harrison around. He might have to do a lot more of that this year.
It looks like we're also going to miss out on Boval as well from Roma, because Florentina are after him. So,
yeah, I would love that.
So let's bring up another conversation that had just kind of stirred the pot this week. And if Peter Duggan's on the call, I'm sure he'll get riled up on this one. Wilfred Ndidi again. So he's out of contract. Everton offered him a contract. The wages were like maybe a half of what he's used to in a championship squad that came down from the Premier League in Leicester. And he said, no, I want better wages. So do we want him back, or would we be willing to take him? Because he seems like throw some money at it and it's over the line. There's no other teams fighting for it.
I don't have a whole lot of thought on Ndidi. You know, he was playing. He had Premier League wages on a championship side, but that contract was signed years prior. So Leicester just had to eat that. I think he could help the club from what I've seen from the player, but not at that wage. I think we are just now in a spot where we're off of the Andre Gomez money. We are off of, the money Delhi was making. We're off of Ben Godfrey's money. So I would hate if we gave big wages to someone who was not guaranteed to be in our starting 11.
Yeah. So really you're asking $100K off the table. Are you happy with 60 to 70K? Anything more than that for a backup player when Adressagana Gay, Onana, or James Garner are out of the squad, or maybe Doucouré plays deeper? You have that guy come in through that period. Otherwise, no.
Sorry. Yep. Now, I saw in the preseason videos that Everton just released as well. So Delhi's back in training again as well. What is everyone's thoughts on him? Do you reckon he'll stay?
Well, Adam, he doesn't have a contract though. That's the problem. Right now, Everton is bending over backwards to make sure he's emotionally okay, recovers from his injuries, and carry on our wayward son type scenario. If we get him back, that's a different conversation because he's not on contract, right?
No, his contract is up. I think what we have here is actually a handshake agreement where he gets to stay on at Everton, use the facilities, get himself healthy and in a good place. And then when he's ready to play football again, Everton will have a crack at him, and they'll obviously be the only ones having with eyes on him for him to even show people what he can do. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see Dele Alli sign a very reasonable contract, a prove yourself contract with Everton, and I would be all for that. If he is healthy, if he's in the right mental place, and he's not on big wages, then that's the perfect kind of sign.
I saw a report that he was actually doing some training with Solanke from Bournemouth, Dominic Solanke.
Yeah, wasn't in England though, right? Weren't they out of the country?
I think it was over in the States.
Okay, that might be
yeah.
Maybe the United States.
Yeah.
Maybe with Jack Harrison in Miami. Who's
Yeah.
to say?
Yeah, that's how Dele Alli pulls his hip again. Party in Miami. We have got to be careful.
I would be fearful of some of the influences that were in Miami on Dele Alli. If it's true that Dele Alli does enjoy a good night out, as has often been rumored.
Sorry. It's just a quick one. Peter Duggan mentioned that. Are you guys scared that all these players we're getting in, like in Ndidi, Ndai, Tim as well? Are you guys scared that Dyche is just not going to play them and he's just going to play his favorites? Because I'm scared of that as well.
I think it's the expectation.
But that's Dyche's method. He's afraid of letting anyone play until they prove themselves. And that is the gaffer's expectation. Prove that you can replace someone else. And the only way that seems to happen is through injury, and you get players through. The question then is, does Tim Arigboom or we have Ndiaye come in? If they come in, is it a matter of are they in the Danjuma slot, or are they more like I'm trying to think of the Ben Godfrey situation that if you prove yourself, you get game time? Because there's no way they start first. McNeil will always start first. Harrison will start first. Doucouré will start first. And we have Onana and Idrissa Gana Gueye. And then we have all these new signings as bench players, unless they're injured. I can't see him switching it up until they need to be proven. Then they prove themselves. And that cycle continues.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's right. That was my biggest fear if we were to do the Newcastle swap and get Minte. And it's that I didn't want him to lock into Harrison McMinion on the wing, and then all of a sudden we have a really young, exciting, promising player just sitting on the bench because Sean Dyche is like Sean Dyche does what Sean Dyche does, and is afraid to expand out. So yeah, that's my concern with anybody we bring in. That's why I wouldn't sign Ndidi to big wages, because I can't see him getting a lot of games. I don't think Irabunum is going. I think he's going to probably play as much as Lewis Dobbin played, and that's why that deal was probably more of a paper move than it was for actual squad reasons. And they have to be really deliberate about the moves that they're going to make, because we can't afford to bring on big wages, especially for players that aren't going to produce. So if Philogene is going to get minutes at right wing, and Harrison is going to be maybe slide between those two wide positions, and I think that's a really great move. If Philogene is just going to come in and not play, then I don't see the point of making that move. Just give that spot on the bench to Stan Mills or Stanley Mills or one of the young guys. All right, Mason Holgate, Neil Maupay. Is there any chance? Talk about guys that are going to sit on the bench and not play. Do we? Is there any chance in hell that there would be any interest for Mason Holgate? I think there might be a chance on Maupay, but is there any chance in hell there would be any interest in Mason Holgate?
What?
Probably he may even get picked up by a Saudi league or something. Saudi club.
Yeah, Chris, anything? Do you think Mason Holgate has anything left in the tank?
He certainly does. I think he needs a rehabilitation program equal to Calvin Phillips or Dele Alli. And I don't think Everton's the place for him to do that.
Yeah, but it wasn't in the championship last year either. So
right, but on loan, and then he was never really accepted and shunned. Every team that wears red and white seems to be the teams that loan him. So if you're playing a forecast, you've got was it Sunderland? Was it Sunderland or Stoke? I forget. Southampton. So Southampton and Sheffield. So he's got two other red and white teams he could go to: Stoke or Sunderland. Those are his teams.
I love the idea that he can only play in certain colors.
Yeah, he can wear red and white. Not blue.
Do we have confirmation of what Everton's new kits look like? Any chance that we can get? Well, there's a white kit. There's a rumored white kit, right?
Yeah, there's a break-in rumor from an R Grant at at gmail.com, I believe, that was saying that we have a blue kit for the home, we have a white kit for away and an alternate navy and yellow. But there was nothing really concrete about what they look like other than those are the colors. So I guess you have to wait and hear.
So we need to convince Mason Holgate that those are actually red and
white striped out unis. Yeah. Basically, you're being Van Dijk, but before Van Dijk moved to Liverpool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So Neil Mopay is really great at shithousery. Neil Mopay.
Brentford. He could move to Brentford. Yeah. That's the Holgate goes.
Oh yes. Speaking of
Chris
Brentford,
got really excited there.
Yeah.
We'll do a swap deal for Ivan Toney.
Oh my god.
Oh, could you imagine on that right back? We just mentioned Southampton. Kyle Walker-Peters. Would you take him as a right back option?
Yeah, I've been hyping Walker-Peters, but there's never been any rumors. But all it takes is 5 minutes of interest and dialogue, and it changes. So Kyle Walker-Peters would be a good shout, in my opinion.
Mm. I've always liked Max Aarons, and we were linked with him a couple transfer windows ago as well from when he was at Norwich. And then he went to Bournemouth. So
the player that I think we could actually legitimately probably pull is the Bournemouth midfielder that looks a bit Marrow and Fellaini like.
Billing.
Philip Billing. Yeah.
Yeah.
He didn't get much game time. The question is, would he prefer no game time at Everton or Bournemouth now? I think he'd be an interesting pick.
Not heard that name mentioned. Maybe we'll hear it.
He's Philip Billing. Yeah, he's decent. He's quality.
Okay, and he's not going to get game time there.
Well, he used to be getting game time under the previous manager, and now that I forget the new guy's name. That's
Gary O'Neill.
Yeah. But the new one at Bournemouth, he's not getting any game time under him now.
Sorry.
I can't remember his name.
Areola. Yeah. Areola. Yeah.
Yep.
All right, gents, we are getting on to nearly a quarter till 1 a.m. in the UK. What else haven't we hit? We've gone on our full list of topics. There is always no shortage of news and stories with Everton.
So there's a Watford winger link. The problem is I had it all prepped up on my laptop before it died. But there is some conversation about a backup winger from Watford as well. I don't know if you guys have been following that one.
No, I haven't seen it. I can imagine Kevin Thelwell is going to have his list that he's going to go through. So Minte was obviously high on that list. Philogene is there. We've seen other names mentioned. Will they get back? Will they get back to Leeds on Willie Gnonto? I can't imagine he wants to spend another year in the Championship. But his valuation is I think the Leeds asking price for him is well over that 16 million that Everton had available for Philogene. Do we think that Everton have money to spend on a wing right now, and that's just the valuation they have of Philogene and didn't want to move off of it? Or do we think that's all the money that they have?
I reckon they've got some definitely stashed away. Kevin Thelwell probably has a budget within reason that he can work to. But I don't know. Have you guys heard the latest on the Freedkin takeover? If that's how close that is when we're looking for that window to shut. And then, because I think a lot of these transfer rumors are going to start coming to light, and the ones that are in the background and the wind that we don't know of as well. Once that Freedkin Group is more cemented in the running, that's what I think is going to happen.
Yeah, news articles have been really quiet, at least from what I've seen on the Freedkin Group, other than, well, it seems that we've survived PSR, but we haven't really heard that we aren't in trouble. But that's, you kind of hold, wait, and hopefully the Premier League doesn't come up with their breaking news from David Ornstein or something.
Mm-hmm. I'll tell you, this is it. I love this far more than what we experienced under 777, where there was a news story every 2 or 3 days about some business venture that they're involved in that it had gone bankrupt, or some other bit of shadiness.
An Australian budget airline leaving a bunch of Aussies stuck traveling because of Bonzo or Bongo or whatever it was.
Yeah, I'll take this any day, and I think this is what we can expect from the Freedkin Group, and just in interviews that you heard with different people that covered Serie A and Roma, they said they're, as an ownership group, they're actually very quiet. You will only hear from them when they want you to hear from them, and that seems to be the case now. We know that one of the big condition of the takeover before it could get ratified by the Premier League was that they needed to pay off that loan of about 150 million pounds to MSP and to Andy Bell and George Downing. So that loan has been repaid. I think we're looking at a weeks and not months. That was what was reported earlier. They could very well be finalized before the season starts. At that point, it's like, when do you start hearing of changes in the front office of Everton, where there's always efficiencies of scale? If you're going to own multiple clubs, then maybe you're able to do something with your scouting department or your front office and eliminate some redundancies in positions. So that's a big curiosity for me, is like, when Dan Freedkin comes in and when his son comes in, how are they going to evaluate Everton, and what changes are they going to make to how they're set up as an organization?
Those are great questions. And when it comes to opinions in football, me saying how to run a football club, I struggle with how to run a copper mine company, let alone a football club, and I do that for a full-time business. I can watch football, do tactical analysis, but the finances and what's held within the structure, you don't know. But yeah, you also know deep down that if you have a shared asset portfolio between two well-established football clubs in Europe, there is a way to reduce the workload, double up on content, data collection, and data sharing.
Certainly. I mean, it just makes sense. Especially from a scouting perspective. Why would you have scouts covering the same regions, the same leagues for two different teams when they can share information? My question then would be, like, does he want these teams to play similarly? Does he try to find directors of football and coaches with the same philosophies and have them almost be mirror images of each other in two different leagues? What are you thinking?
Gattuso in Italy would be exactly the Dyche game. We just need a Gattuso into management. Is it Gennaro Gattuso, the one that played for Milan in Italy? The bearded fella that was like really rough and tumble in the middle. As long as he is playing, if he's the Roma manager, then you've got a Dyche of Italy. I'm done.
So you're assuming that we mold the freaking ownership group style of football to Sean Dyche, as opposed to...
Absolutely. We need to be sustainable, lock down the hatches like a submarine. No one gets out.
I think we should. Yeah, I think it would be, what would Sean Dyche do? I think we all get the bracelets. WWSD. What would Sean do? Or maybe SDD. What would Sean Dyche do? And every decision should run through Dyche.
What would the Dyche do?
Oh man!
It could be interesting if the Freedkin Group, when they do take over, that they just boot Dyche out and they bring in their own. That could also work.
If they bring back in Frank Lampard, we're in trouble, aren't we?
Yeah. Well, I can't see that happening. That's what I would expect that, Adam, because that seems to be the case whenever you get new ownership or new leadership of.
Does Graham Potter have a job at the moment? Where's he?
No,
he's been sitting on the pot waiting for roles.
Yeah, he's waiting for the Everton call. I can see it. He's wore blue before, Chris. He can do it again.
Yeah, just like Mason Holgate can wear red and white, so can Potter. He can wear blue and white and blue.
Yeah.
I like
stick
that.
with the colors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, fellas. Anything else we haven't covered?
So we talked about the players back in training. Oh, what I will bring up real quick. Do you guys watch the video of like what players, like they did a little short reel that went through Facebook of what everyone's favorite player, who do they miss the most? I found it really funny. Almost everyone missed Pato, except for McNeil, who said he missed Taki because somehow him and Taki have their own unique relationship. And Beto said, I miss no one, because he hung out with Schmidt on his time off in Portugal.
Yeah, I believe he said he missed the ball. I think Beto said he missed the ball.
He did. He missed the ball because when he went for a strike, he sometimes missed it.
That's right. You know, speaking of Dwight McNeil, did you see the news that Dwight McNeil actually stayed in Merseyside for most of the offseason and worked with his dad at Finch Farm on shortcomings in his game? So that I thought that was incredibly encouraging, and for a professional footballer like that to admit that they were working on shortcomings in their game was refreshing.
Even Everton on that. Jack Harrison went to, sorry, it wasn't Doha, it was actually Miami. So he was over there training, basically doing a preseason with his personal trainers, working on his game, working on his shooting, touches and finishing. So, you know, we could see some changes in some of these players. And I know it's really frustrating that Harrison towards the end of the season was almost gone missing in games, couldn't beat a man, couldn't get a cross in, you know.
Yeah, and to your point, Adam, it seemed as if Harrison was getting back to it in a groove right at the end of the season when they're getting results. But to your point too, Chad, hey, it's really great that McNeil is focusing on these little things. It's a compliment to the reporter that's actually covering this, because let's be honest, if you're a professional trying to make sure you're doing well in the game and wanting to keep your spot, you're probably looking at little things in the off season. So having reporters note this, document it, and having these personal stories are fantastic. What does Harrison need to do? Get about 5% more pace and slow the game down. And maybe that's some dance lessons in Miami. The wingers just need to get comfortable being able to slow the game down and put other people off balance instead of them looking uncomfortable when someone plays a low block against us.
Yeah, I think Chad's frozen again. I agree. I completely agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah, back fellas.
The internet and satellites.
The internet. Well, the hope is that all of these players, unless you were on international duty, they should have been working on their game in the lab, developing skills, refining their abilities. It's just fun. It's fun when you see videos. I love the Jack Harrison videos when we saw those from Miami. He was working hard. It's exciting to think that Dwight might actually come back with a right foot. But that's the hope. That's the optimism of preseason, right?
Yep. If you watch Major League Baseball, you think anyone can win the World Series this year. And outside of Leicester, no one really wins the Premier League outside of the top six. But we can always
not even that's assuming Tottenham can win anything. I don't.
Okay, fine. Top five. Are you happy now? It's a game of ones now. Okay.
I'm not going to miss an opportunity to make a slight of Spurs and Spurs fans. All right. Hey, we are at 160 viewers strong. We've been going for nearly an hour. This is just your reminder. Please like us, subscribe to us, donate to us. I've never really figured out how I've never figured out how the donate thing works.
Chad and Adam get good internet during storms. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. All right, fellas, let's leave it here. Anything else we want to finish up with?
I'm very jealous of Tottenham.
You're jealous of Tottenham?
Yeah, Archie Gray from Leeds.
Yeah.
That looks a good player.
Yeah. I mean, I would kill to have someone as good as Son in a blue shirt, but maybe someday.
No, I'm waiting for Harry Kane to meet Abdoulaye Doucouré in an alley and we gives him flack for not scoring enough in the Euros and see if he falls over.
It's just the kind of guy. He's got heaps of mates. He can do some more phone calls and get some players in. I reckon that's our scouting network right there, boys.
Idrissa Gana Gay is basically the wingman of Everton.
He is. He's bringing all the players in.
Brings his missus in to tell people how to live life with nice white linens.
Sounds good. All right, I'm going to hit the button. Final words?
Bye, everyone.
Up the toffees.
Up the toffees.